Welcome back to One on One, New York's longest running sports college show. I'm Brij Gautam alongside my partner, Colin, and we're pleased to be joined by prominent minor league baseball owner and investor, Gary Green. Now, for those who don't know, Gary has stakes in 3 baseball franchises and also heads the ownership of Union Omaha in the United Soccer League. He also owns the highly regarded baseball publication, Baseball America, and in addition to that, is CEO of one of the largest private building service companies in North America, Alliance Building Services. So Gary, I think it's no secret that you're a busy guy, so we appreciate you taking the time to chat with us. But before we get started, how you doing today?
Good. Ready for the Memorial Day weekend.
Yes, here as well. And, I understand, you're a lifelong Mets fan from Long Island. I myself am a Yankee fan. Colin's a Red Sox fan. So I think we're going to have some fun today. But my first question for you is, what led you to starting your own business at such a young age?
It's a great question. And first of all, thanks for having me on today. Not sure if you've finished finals or in the middle of finals, but I remember what this time of year was when I was in college, and it was so beautiful out. And I was just such a bummer to stay inside the library and studied and see everybody outside. So hope you did well in your finals, and appreciate your time as well.
Thank you.
Great entrepreneurial ideas and projects are really interesting. To me as an entrepreneur, you see a need in the marketplace. And so I saw a need in the marketplace to have cleaning services that were done in a better way and a less expensive way. And how could we build a better mousetrap? So, just like, the guys at, let's say, Uber, which, really ingenious. Probably the idea came from somebody waiting for a taxi or a car service one day and said, you know what, there's a better way. So as a landlord, commercial landlord, I saw that cleaning services were not good quality, too high in cost. So we figured out a different way to shift the payroll onto a landlord's payroll. And just through some different ways, we changed the cleaning industry just by thinking outside the box. And it's not enough just to have a great idea, but you need to execute on a great idea. And a lot of times the guys who create the great idea think they're the guys who can who can execute the idea. And so many times the creator and the executor need to be 2 different people. And I recognized very early on that while I had a great idea, the person to execute it was not me. So I surrounded myself with people that were great at executing. And then you've got to have the ego to stay out of their way. And that's what I did. And I let them execute and run the business in a way that helped us scale and grow. And, we grew to the point where we are roughly at 5,000 employees. We clean Empire State Building, Citi Field, and we're the second largest in New York and one of the largest privately held companies in the country.
Gary, thank you so much for joining us. Along with your business ventures and part of your business ventures, you're very involved in the world of sports. I'm wondering, have you always wanted to own franchises?
Yes, it was always, well, my first dream was to play third base for the New York Mets. So, I hung on until about 45. I realized that wasn't going to happen. So I had to buy teams. So owning a minor league baseball team was always a dream of mine. We're sitting around with a friend one day, and this is how these things happen sometimes. I was like, I'd love to own a minor league team. And he's like, that's so great. So would I. And so we hired a broker. We started looking and traveling all over the eastern half of the U.S. And we had so much fun going, whether from Staten Island to Asheville, South Carolina, to Bowie, Maryland, to Memphis, Tennessee. And to just see parts of the country while looking at baseball deals, to me, was so much fun. And we didn't get frustrated. We looked for a year, nothing made sense. And we finally came across this deal. It was a team in Norwich, Connecticut. And it was owned by a boxing promoter named Lou DiBella. And I don't know if you know Lou or if you've interviewed him or you know of him, but people in the boxing industry are very colorful. And Lou's a hardcore New Yorker, and he's probably one of the best partners I've ever had. But tough exterior, kind of bigger than life. And I think people in minor league baseball just kind of didn't understand somebody like that, but we did because we're New Yorkers, and we could relate to him. So as soon as we met with him, we loved him. And a deal that really people around the minor league baseball business didn't go near. We grabbed on. You look at enough wrong deals for a year, you recognize the right deal right away. So when you look at wrong deals in life, it's not a waste of time because you're educating yourself every time you find a deal that's not right for you, because you'll know the right one. So we recognized Lou was a great partner. We recognized moving the team from Norwich to Richmond, Virginia. And Richmond had such a pent up demand for baseball because the Braves had just left the year before. We recognized very quickly that it was the right opportunity. And just because this is the right opportunity doesn't mean we couldn't screw it up. So we found the right management team, and they really executed well on just this great opportunity. And it was one of the great success stories in minor league baseball that we were able to move the team from Norwich, Connecticut to Richmond, Virginia. And we got named Richmonders of the Year within a year. We led the league in attendance and merchandise, and we're on our way to a new stadium there. So the lesson there is, if you look at enough wrong deals, you'll know the right one when it comes along.
That's a great story, Gary. And, speaking of buying and owning multiple minor league baseball teams, I'd love to hear about your relationship with Warren Buffett, especially as a business student myself. Do you remember the first time that you guys met, and what was it like negotiating and actually buying a ball club from him?
So yeah, when I remember being on the plane, and I pulled out my computer and I was looking at all the numbers and saying to myself, look, this is, you work hard your whole life, you don't really get moments like this. And I wanted to be able to, one, close a deal, but two, be able to tell my kids and grandkids how I negotiated with the greatest investor of our time, of our generation. And I remember sitting with him and waiting to see how he was going to dictate the conversation. It certainly wasn't going to be me who dictated it. And I sat back in his couch, in his office, which was smaller than mine. And he had all the Heinz products all over his desk because he was buying the company at that time. And we sat down and we just started talking about baseball. And we talked about baseball, and we talked and talked. And we talked for about an hour and a half about baseball. And he showed me his memorabilia collection. We walked around. And an hour and a half later, he got up, stuck out his hand, and he says, okay, I'll sell you the team. And it was in that moment I realized that wasn't a business meeting. That was a test. And the test was to make sure I was a baseball fan, somebody who loved the game, somebody who would love the fans of the game. And so we didn't negotiate. I mean, I would love to sit here and lie to you and tell you we did, but I'm not going to do that. So we didn't negotiate. I negotiated with his brokers, but he really just tested me. So I was able to meet with him about a dozen times after that. And he said to me once, he's like, boy, I'm really jealous of you. You're really lucky that to be your age and own these teams. And I was like, no offense, Mr. Buffett, but when I'm your age, I'm going to be pretty jealous of you too. And he was just great. He was great. I asked him to stay in the deal. This is a good lesson too. He didn't want to stay in the deal. He said, I want my estate to be completely liquid because I see too many families fight over assets. And I want to make sure that when I pass and my estate liquidates, that my family remains intact and that there's no fighting. And I'll remember that as I plan my estate and I go through life. It's an important lesson is to, what kind of legacy you're going to leave and making sure that you're taking care of the people in your life, even when you're gone.
You're a New York guy and an avid Mets fan who initially purchased Darryl Strawberry's Rookie of the Year award. After some interaction, you're also now friends with the former star. What has that connection been like for you?
Sure. So I collect over the years a lot of Mets things, and at one point I owned Bill Buckner's cleats and glove from the famous play in '86. I had to bring that up for the Red Sox fan here. And I was at that game. That was special. And you weren't alive yet, right? No, okay.
No.
All right. So you just feel the pain from what you've read. You didn't feel the pain live. So Darryl we have a big holiday party for our clients, we used to. And Darryl was hired to sign autographs. We have about 1,000 people there. And we've had stars like, former stars like Bucky Dent, Mickey Rivers, and Joe Klecko and John Starks. And I think this party had John Starks. And Darryl was signing autographs, and I was just another guy that hired him like to sign autographs. It was no big deal to him. And my friend's there. My friend says, "Hey, do you know Gary owns your Rookie of the Year award?" And he gets up and he towers over me. He says to me, looks down, he says, "That was stolen from my mom's house. How did you get that?" So, maybe he thinks like I went into his mom's house and stole it. I don't know. Anyway, I bought it at auction. And said, "I'd like to buy that from you." I explained that I bought it at auction. "I'd like to buy that from you." And instinctively, he's Darryl Strawberry. He's, somebody I looked up to as a Met fan growing up. Without batting an eye, I said, "This belongs to you." It for me, like, it's a thrill for me to just return it to its rightful owner, the person who earned it and won it. And so it's yours. And he was shocked. He couldn't believe it. He says, nobody's done that for me. And so met up with him a few months later, gave it to him. He said, "Whatever you need, I will do for you. Like, you're a friend for life." And so it's a really great lesson, because what Darryl did for me and has done for me over the years, he helped us pitch the Mets account for the cleaning company. We got it. He's played golf with clients. We've got it. We've visited prisons and recovery centers and recovery services. And it's just a lesson that by doing the right thing, good things happen. And whatever that trophy was worth, or whatever it meant to me, I've gotten hundreds of times value from that just by doing the right thing instinctively. And Darryl's one of my best friends, and he's a truly special guy. And he doesn't care how many his career getting derailed and how many home runs he missed in the Hall of Fame. He knows that his life played out exactly the way it's supposed to, and that he's went through his problems to help save the lives of others. And not living with regret on anything I think it's really important, and one of the keys to happiness in life.
So to have a friendship like that must be so special. And, for you, you're CEO of a large building services company, owner of 4 professional sports franchises. For me, I'm just curious, what does an average day look like for Gary Green? Is there even an average day? I mean, it just seems like you got so much going on.
There really is an average day. And what I say about being a CEO is you got to wake up every day, and I try to have this conscious thought is, what is my job description going to be today to help this organization? It's not what do I feel like doing. It's what can I do to make the people around me better? And I feel like as a CEO of a company, really, your job is to come up with ideas and steer the strategy of the company, but you're just a vehicle for people to become the best they can be. And that is really, like, to me, the importance of being a CEO. So each day is different. Flew to Minneapolis the other night to watch our team, Union Omaha, beat Minnesota FC in the U.S. Open Cup. So now we're in the round of 8 in the country of the top, and that's true Cinderella story right there. And maybe we could be. It's kind of like if the Richmond Flying Squirrels played the New York Yankees and they beat the Yankees at Yankee Stadium. And so, and then the next day was me being on social media, following up on that, connecting with fans. And so the day after that, I'm trying to structure a loan for one of the teams. And so, later on that day, we're looking at financials, having a financial meeting for Baseball America. So when you're an entrepreneur, it's like you got to be conscious of every hat you're grabbing, because you're grabbing them each day constantly. and shifting your focus. And to me, it's a lot of fun because I don't like sitting still. I like keep moving, and I like creating things, and so that's kind of how my typical day goes.
Some have said that the pandemic and other factors have dramatically affected the state of minor league baseball. Have you seen these types of changes as an owner yourself?
Absolutely, and that's a real interesting question. I think it's affected sports, not just minor league baseball. So I think that across the board, corporate tickets are up, private suites are up. We're seeing the same thing. People, because of COVID, their behavior patterns change, and people want private, even though they're not masking up anymore, even though the fear of COVID has gone down, they want their private spaces. We've seen groups business go up because companies that have employees working from home are missing culture. You don't get culture from a Zoom call. You don't get water cooler talk from a Zoom call. So they're creating culture by bringing groups to live sports events. And so groups have become important. Single ticket buyers, season ticket buyers have gone down. People's mojo is different now. The get up and go and leave the home. It's like people I'm not going to say they got lazy, just the behavior patterns change, and being home on the couch and watching TV became something that felt more comfortable and more regular. So sports has a way to go. I think sponsorships are up, but sports has a way to go to kind of get through this malaise of this loss of energy and mojo from staying home during COVID.
It's been a fun summer so far in the MLB. Gary, it's been quite some time since your Mets have won a World Series, with the last one coming in '86. Does this year's squad bear any resemblance to the '86 Amazons?
You know, nobody will be the '86 Mets. Darryl and I talk about this all the time. The '86 Mets were they say they were the team that would come into a city, beat you on the field, drink your alcohol, take your women, and leave. That's like modern day, baseball pirates, right? They like come in and just crush it. So I don't think anything will ever be the '86 Mets. And if you ask Darryl about, he won 4 World Series, 3 with the Yankees, 1 with the Mets. The Mets team, just like that's his favorite. So this year's Mets team, look, as a Met fan, I have learned to manage expectations. I enjoyed the pre-All-Star break, post-All-Star break. I know that things can disappoint. So I'm just enjoying my time right now. And I think when you're the oldest team in the league, which we are, injuries are going to happen. And I think we're seeing that now. The pitching staff's starting to break down, with Scherzer out, DeGrom is out, McGill is out. So we'll see what happens. I'm cautiously optimistic until I'm not.
I have one more question for you, Gary. Again, thanks for taking the time. I heard that recently you're teaming up with Jetlinx Aviation to give sports fans a really special opportunity. So could you talk a bit about the recently launched Fly Like an Owner sweepstakes? And I'm sure our WFUV listeners would love to hear about it.
Sure, no, absolutely. So Jetlinx is a private jet company out of Omaha, Nebraska. They're one of the largest in the country. They have jet cards, and they also manage private planes, and they build their own terminals throughout the country. And so they're friends in Omaha. And to me, I wanted to do something that not only brought value to them, but brought value to our fans. And I feel incredibly lucky, and I'm kind of humbled by the opportunity I have to be part of the ownership for 4 teams. And the part that I love most about the teams is connecting with the fans. And I see that by connecting with the fans, they connect with the organization. And to say they have a relationship with the owner and they spend time with the owner, and we have good banter and good conversation, it's special. And I know whenever I ran into at a Mets game, Fred Wilpon, or Steve Cohn, or John Ledecky of the Islanders, like, it always feels like a little special, like you're part of the family. And so what better way to make fans feel part of the family than to allow them to kind of live my life for 24 or 48 hours and being lucky enough to share that experience. So We're going to hop on a plane. We're going to go to an away game. We'll crack open some bottles of champagne if they're of age, of course. Maybe we'll bring some trophies, championship trophies on the plane, and we'll go and we'll land. We'll go. We'll see the team beforehand. Maybe be part of a strategy session before. And I just feel lucky. I want to share that luck and share that feeling with as many fans as possible. And I think, we said 2 lucky fans, but I want to pack the plane with as many of them as possible. I love our fans. And I always say, if you're going to buy a team, don't buy a team because you love the sport. Buy a team because you love the fans of that sport. And that's how you're going to execute whatever business plan, business model you have. That's the best way of executing it.
Gary Green, thank you once again. For more information and complete rules on the Fly Like an Owner sweepstakes, please visit omahastormchasers.com/contest. We'll be right back here with more one-on-one.